When you hear the word island, you probably imagine white sand beaches, turquoise water, and sipping cocktails under the sun. But here's the truth. Not every island in the USA is a dream destination. In fact, some will waste your money, your time, and your sanity. In this video, we're counting down the top 5 worst islands to visit in the United States. These are places with no amenities, dangerous conditions, and in some cases, dark histories that will make you think twice before booking a trip. Stick around, because number 1 is a nightmare in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Number 5, Navassa Island, Caribbean. Now let's start our list with a place you've probably never heard of. Navassa Island. Technically a U.S. territory in the Caribbean, this island is about 35 miles west of Haiti and 90 miles south of Guantanamo Bay. Sounds tropical and inviting, right? Well, not so fast. Navassa Island has no permanent population, no hotels, no restaurants, and no infrastructure at all. In fact, ordinary people aren't even allowed to visit without special government permission. Why? Because it's managed as a national wildlife refuge by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the environment is kept strictly protected. And let's talk about accessibility, or rather, the complete lack of it. There's no dock, no harbor, and the shoreline is made up of jagged limestone cliffs that shoot straight up from the sea. If you somehow manage to land a boat, you'd be facing a steep, rocky climb just to set foot inland. Once you get up there, it's not exactly a beach paradise. The interior is rough, dry, and covered in dense brush. The only real residents are seabirds, lizards, and a few species of insects. Oh, and an abandoned lighthouse that hasn't been operational for decades. On top of all that, Navassa Island has a controversial history. It was heavily mined for guano in the late 1800s, and a tragic incident involving a labor revolt in 1889 left a dark mark on its story. Today, the island remains uninhabited, unwelcoming, and frankly, inaccessible to 99% of people. So unless your idea of a vacation involves baking under the Caribbean sun with no shade, no fresh water, and no way home, Navassa Island should probably stay off your bucket list. Number 4, Poplar Island, Maryland. Next on our list is a place that used to be a charming Chesapeake Bay destination, Poplar Island, Maryland. Back in the 1800s, this was a thriving community with homes, farms, and even a schoolhouse. But over the past century, Mother Nature had other plans. By the mid-20th century, erosion had eaten away nearly all of Poplar Island's landmass. What was once over 1,000 acres of inhabited land had been reduced to just a few small, disconnected patches, barely poking above the waterline. The residents packed up and left, and the island was essentially abandoned. Today, Poplar Island isn't so much a tourist spot as it is a massive environmental restoration project. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is literally rebuilding the island using dredged material from the Baltimore Harbor shipping channels. That's right. Much of the new Poplar Island is made from sediment and mud scooped from the bay's bottom. While the project is important for wildlife, it's not exactly a vacation hotspot. There are no hotels, no restaurants, and no sandy beaches to stretch out on. Instead, you'll find controlled construction zones, mud flats, and carefully managed marshland for birds like ospreys and herons. And here's the kicker. You can't just hop on a ferry and visit. Public access is restricted, and the only way to set foot here is to sign up for a guided tour organized by the restoration team. Even then, you'll be riding a workboat, wearing safety gear, and following strict rules about where you can walk. So while Poplar Island is fascinating from an ecological perspective, it's far from an enjoyable getaway. Unless you're a biologist, an engineer, or a bird watcher with very low vacation standards, you'll probably want to skip it. Number 3, McNeil Island, Washington. Now this next island is one you definitely wouldn't want to spend a vacation on, even if you could. That's because for more than a century, McNeil Island, Washington was home to one of America's most notorious prisons. From 1875 until 2011, McNeil Island housed everyone from petty thieves to high-profile inmates. In fact, it was the last remaining island prison in the U.S. accessible only by boat or air, often called the Alcatraz of the Northwest. Unlike Alcatraz, though, it never became a tourist attraction after closing. The island is isolated, surrounded by the chilly waters of Puget Sound, and completely off limits to the public. Why? Well, after the prison shut down, the state converted part of the island into a civil commitment center for what they call sexually violent predators. These are individuals who've completed prison sentences but are still considered too dangerous to release. Needless to say, this isn't the kind of island where you stroll around snapping sunset selfies. There are no hotels, no restaurants, no quaint shops, just barbed wire, watchtowers, and a lingering atmosphere of confinement. Even if you were allowed to visit, the island's facilities are old, weather-beaten, and surrounded by dense forest and muddy shoreline. It's not exactly postcard material. Plus, the currents in the surrounding waters can be treacherous, so there's no safe way to just drop by in a kayak. Bottom line, McNeil Island is steeped in history, but it's a dark, grim kind of history. Unless your idea of a dream vacation involves heavy security gates and prison walls, this is one island you'll be happy to admire from a distance. Number 2, Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts now. Before you get the pitchforks out, let's be clear. Martha's Vineyard is not a bad island in the traditional sense. It's beautiful, historic, and filled with charm. But if we're talking about places that might leave you feeling disappointed, especially for the price, then this upscale New England getaway earns its spot on the list. First, there's the cost. Martha's Vineyard is one of the most expensive vacation spots in the United States. Hotels can run you over $500 a night in peak season, and that's before you even think about dinner. And trust me, if you want a lobster roll here, be prepared to hand over the kind of money most people pay for a week's groceries. Then there's the transportation headache. You can't just drive there. It's an island, so you'll need a ferry or a small plane. Ferries often book up months in advance, especially in summer, and if the weather turns bad, your trip could be delayed or even canceled. And speaking of summer, so will everyone else's. The island's population swells from about 17,000 year-round residents to well over 100,000 in the peak months. That means crowded beaches, packed restaurants, and traffic jams that make you question if you accidentally drove into Boston instead of visiting a peaceful island escape. On top of that, while the scenery is stunning, there's not a huge list of things to do if you're not into cycling, strolling quaint shops, or lounging on the beach. For the price you're paying, you might expect a bit more variety. So yes, Martha's Vineyard is undeniably pretty, and if you've got deep pockets and plenty of patience, you might love it. But for the average traveler looking for a stress-free island getaway, it can feel more like a wallet-draining exercise in crowd navigation than a relaxing vacation. Number 1, Kingman Reef, Pacific. Taking the top spot on our list is Kingman Reef. And trust me, this is not your next tropical getaway. Located about halfway between Hawaii and American Samoa, Kingman Reef is an uninhabited U.S. territory in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. On paper, it might sound exotic, but in reality, it's basically a giant ring of submerged coral with almost no dry land to stand on. Forget hotels, restaurants, or even a palm tree. There's nothing here except shallow reefs, rough waters, and the occasional seabird. The only visitors are scientists, the U.S. military, and maybe the odd adventurous sailor who quickly realizes there's nowhere to actually dock. Getting here is almost impossible for the average person. You'd need a special permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, a reliable vessel that can handle unpredictable Pacific swells, and a serious tolerance for isolation. And once you arrive, your options for activities are, well, stare at the ocean, snorkel a bit if you can, and then leave before the weather turns. To make things even less appealing, the area can be dangerous. Strong currents, razor-sharp coral, and unpredictable storms make this one of the least tourist-friendly places in all U.S. territory. So unless your dream vacation involves floating in the middle of nowhere with absolutely no amenities, Kingman Reef should stay far, far off your travel bucket list. So there you have it. 5 islands in the USA that sound way better than they actually are. From dangerous reefs to ghost towns swallowed by the sea, these spots are proof that not all island vacations are worth the hype. What do you think? Did we miss an island that should be on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to see my top 10 best islands in the USA, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because next time, we're going from nightmare islands to paradise.